Well, I guess sleeping, as long as I did because I took a nap. I woke up early this morning. I mean, really early this morning, and I decided to take a nap, get up, eat something, and go. Well, my mom brought me something that our neighbors brought, and mainly after that, after eating that, having a Coke and everything, I decided to go to sleep. And I figured, okay, I'll go to sleep. I can watch Survivor Series later because I had a feeling some of the things I kind of knew were going to happen happened. Like I had a feeling Judgment Day was going to lose. I had a feeling that Team Bianca, Charlotte was going to win and everything. I just felt that way. Now I did say that I think Damage Control wins, they do, or if they lose, it's because of such and such. But anyway, one of the things people were talking about though with Survivor Series Wargames was, you know, would it happen? Well, as you can see on these images here, it happened because yesterday I did a video and I said, it's the only people that know what's going to happen either last night or in the next few months or if ever is Phil Brooks, CM Punk, Triple H, Nick Khan, Ari Emanuel, and to an extent Vince McMahon. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Apparently, according to the reports, this this was something that happened. I guess before the show. You know, before the show or something. I think there were reports that a contract had not really been, according to Sean Rossap, a contract had not been signed even yesterday, even by yesterday morning. Nothing was signed. Um, but apparently, I guess apparently, it was signed either during the show or before it. I could assume it was before because he showed up, right, like moments during the main event, like doing something. I'm not really sure. I mean, according to this, right here by Sean Rossap, you can see it here on the screen. Here are some details we have as of now. CM Punk told at least one person close to him he had an hour-long conversation with Triple H last week. WWE staff, reps, creative had no idea. He walked through the back in plain sight minutes before he appeared. They had cleared an area out. Let me reread that. It states, WWE staff, reps, creative had no idea. He walked through the back in plain sight minutes before he appeared. They had cleared an area out. And then this one's interesting. Triple H took over calling the show in the last couple of minutes and called for the copyright logo. Even many in production didn't know. So basically a lot went aware. Here's another one by Sean Rossap. This one states, back in gorilla position, we're told that Seth Rollins, we'll get into this in a moment, had to be ushered away by Triple H and Michael Cole, as he was not happy about Punk's appearance. Punk was said to have looked confused by it, at least to people in the area. It was said to be an awkward scene. Now, that's obvious because not a lot of people are going to like seeing him back. I mean, Seth Rollins' picture here, him sitting on the steps, seeing Punk there and all that, sitting on the steps before that happened, and then obviously getting up and reacting the way he did. Yeah, Punk's gonna draw a lot of animosity from people in the company. I mean, heck, there's a tweet, there's a fan cam out there of Rhea Ripley. She's on the outside during the match, and she's just as soon as she hears CM Punk's music and seeing him come out, you know what she does? She gives the bird. Yeah, she literally gives the deuce, if you know what I mean. She gives the deuce. She gives him the deuce, if you will. Oh no, she not him, but she gives the deuce to what's going on. Cause you can tell she doesn't like CM Punk. You can tell that. You can tell she doesn't like CM Punk because I think maybe he did something, said something about Buddy Matthews or something in AEW. I'm not really sure. But yeah, she wasn't happy either. And apparently, according to reports, some in the back weren't happy, some were excited about it. It was a mixture. It sounded like, truth be told, and more details will come out, thankfully, by Fightful. Truth be told, many people in the company, mostly a lot of people, were actually excited by this. Like, ooh, this is gonna be good. We're gonna take off now. We're really gonna, blow any competition out of the water. While others were like, oh, you got to be kidding me. This guy, you know, yeah. Mostly it was a mixed reaction, but from it sounds like, it was mostly positive. It was mostly positive and all that. But look, Triple H, the big difference between Triple H and Tony Khan, Triple H knows how to sit down with his talent and talk things out, calm things over. And there's no doubt him escorting, along with Michael Cole, him escorting Seth to the back, he's going to talk with Seth. He's going to calm him down and say, look, I know you don't like Seth, I know you don't like Phil and everything, but things have changed. He has changed. He's made amends. And I wouldn't be surprised if Triple H gets a meeting between the two and they work things out. They make amends, but agree as businessmen to let the real life animosity play out on television that could lead to a match in the future, which apparently could be WrestleMania. Drinking some Angry Orchard here. But yeah, that's the big difference between him and Tony Khan. He knows how to work things out with his talent. Let's not forget, he's learned from the best how to do that. As much as people may not like to hear that, he's learned from Vince how to basically, take his pride, shelve it, make amends, and say, hey, welcome back. Let's bring you home and everything. In fact, let's be honest, he's the one that got the Warrior to come back. He's the one that talked with Warrior. I mean, he's been instrumental in a lot of these impossible returns as of late coming back. Warrior, Bruno Sammartino, you name it. He's been very instrumental. And why? Because he's swallowed his pride. He's looked back at his mistakes he's made. He's looked back at the mistakes Vince has made and the company's made. With these individuals, and he said, "Look, we got to make him." And he's probably talked to Vince and said, "Vince, look, we got to make amends with these people. What we did was wrong. What they did was wrong. Let's just look at it from the fact that we were both wanting something that the other wouldn't give, and we should have just came to an agreement that, hey, we can't work things out. We're just gonna have to part ways peacefully. That's it." And that's obviously what happened. That's obvious, not obviously what happened, but that's what should have happened. Though that's how he feels things should have happened, instead of happening the way they did before he even got this chance to. Long before, anyway, he got the chance to, be in the position he's in now. But obviously he was able to work something out with Punk, him, and Nick Khan and Ari Emanuel, and maybe to an extent Vince. They were able to work something out with Phil and get him in. Now, apparently the contract, again, more details will come out, but apparently the contract is for several years. What that could be, we don't know. Could be 3 years, 4 years, we're not really sure. What he was promised and what was agreed to is going to be interesting to see. I mean, obviously one of the things that was agreed upon was to just let him go out there with a live mic and say what's on his mind. Or at least allow him to improvise on whatever he's going to say if he's involved in the storyline. And look, speaking of a live mic, when he shows up on Raw Monday, because he is scheduled for Raw, as well as I do, he's going to be allowed to let loose. He's going to be allowed to let loose and speak his mind, and you cannot tell me unless there's an NDA agreed upon, you cannot tell me he is not going to, this being CM Punk, you cannot tell me he's going to not, shoot on AEW. And he's going to probably be one of the guys that says, that mentions him by name. He might say, hey, I have a little respect for people there, but the truth is, the owner, the people that were EVPs and all that, they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. So obviously part of the agreement is him, having that live mic, at least, on his first Raw back, to, speak his mind, shoot, if you will. Um, but yeah, this is huge for WWE. There's no doubt because they know that if the situation is correct, they know if the situation is correct, they can make money off certain things. And Triple H is the kind of guy that can basically take a real life situation, cool things down between the participants, but allow them to use that animosity towards each other to build to something, in the future. And Seth Rollins and Punk, they have an opportunity to do that going into WrestleMania. I mean, let's not forget, whether we like to admit it or not, when they did Rock and Cena, they based that on animosity. Whether Triple H was, had some say, position of power at the time. I think he was kind of in a position of power, but not much. But Rock and Cena had say. They had a lot of pull. So, and they both knew, hey, we can make this work. We can make this company millions out of this for WrestleMania, and they did twice. They did twice. They even did it when they teamed up at Survivor Series prior to that. But they did it twice or three times. They did it three times. The point is, Triple H being a guy that's wrestled both those individuals and is on the same mindset as them, he understands. And Punk's the same way, and Seth hopefully is the same way, that, hey, we can take this real life animosity you have towards each other, and we can apply it to a match in the future, and just let you guys go. It may not be it may not be on the epicness or the epic scale as a Cena Rock, if you will, or a Rock Hogan, but it still could get people talking. It'll get people wanting to, buy tickets, well, tickets are sold out at Lincoln Field anyway, but I can tell you it's going to make Philadelphia distribute more tickets. Basically fill out that area even more so than before because of something like that. So Triple H knows what he's doing. So Triple H obviously is somebody that's going to talk with Seth and say, look, I get you don't like Phil. I understand the animosity. I know he said things that got under your skin, but we can make this work. You're a businessman. He's a businessman. We can make this work. And and maybe you have them just go out and do what like Rock and Cena did. Just go out and speak their minds. That could work. And I think people will be cool with it. I really do. Now, like I said, some other talent at ringside, a little confused, maybe a little excited. Drew McIntyre obviously wasn't happy. Apparently he, I guess, left through the crowd or something, and then I guess he went to the locker room, got his stuff, and left the building. I'm not really sure, but apparently that's the report. Hopefully, Triple H will talk to him. I mean, I saw some people commenting online, "Oh, Drew's not happy. He just became TK's new best friend," and maybe that's true. But I don't know. I think honestly, Drew has signed a new contract. We're just not going to find out, yet, whether or not, that's indeed true. But there's no doubt he probably did. Because if there's one thing we've been learning since Triple H has been in charge, is the guy and I said this before, the guy knows how to make sure that certain things are not leaked out to the dirt sheets. He makes sure that only certain, he looks at it like, oh, that's not a big deal, let that leak. But if it comes to somebody resigning or somebody signing or something happening that we may not be aware of, or, we might have a clue of, but it doesn't feel like it's going to be that way, he knows how to basically keep it under wraps more so than anything. He does. He knows how to keep it under wraps more so than anything. And, I think honestly Drew did sign. I think he did sign a contract, but Triple H is keeping it under wraps. He's like, let people believe he's going to leave. Let people believe he's done and everything, and then we're going to surprise him. We're going to surprise them by revealing, yeah, he signed a contract. He's going to stay. So, Triple H, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to, keep things a secret. I mean, again, there's a lot of things that have happened under his belt, since he's been put in charge and all that, that, we didn't think was possible. We didn't think certain things were going to happen, but they did. It just shows you that, as much as you may not like WWE as a company, or as a division of TKO, they know what to do. If you put the right people in charge, they know what to do. They know how to keep people under wraps. Heck, they even know how to keep certain talent under wraps, because they know, hey, if word gets out that, hey, this guy's coming in, that talent may not want to work that night, in protest. That's why they have to keep certain things a secret. They do. They got to keep certain things a secret. So, I get why certain talent, like I said, is a little emotionally upset and all that. But, I have a feeling Triple H is the kind of guy that's going to basically let cooler heads prevail. He's going to just talk to people, and it's going to be like, look, I know I should have communicated with you guys about what's going to happen, but if I did, obviously it would get out to the dirt sheets, and I don't want that. So I had to keep it under wraps. Until the time was right. So yeah, I think over time cooler heads are going to prevail. I really do. And, like I said, I think cooler heads are going to prevail. And I think Triple H is going to be the kind of guy that says, look, let's take any animosity or heat some of you have with Phil, and let's do something with it. Drew and Punk, that's going to be something people are going to want to see. Punk and Rollins, like I said, obviously people are going to want to see that, and there's a lot more. And I think, and in my opinion, doing something like this, it keeps the talent on their toes. It's basically Triple H's way of saying, look, now that we have a guy like Punk back back on the roster, things are going to be a little different. In other words, he's telling the talent, hey, if he's the kind of guy that improvises, he's the kind of guy that says what's on his mind, so you got to be ready to be able to counter that. In other words, it's a Punk event, because we know it's going to happen. He crosses paths at the Judgment Day. You can't tell me he's not going to run them down. He will. He's going to run them down, and basically it's going to be up to them to be like, okay, what do we do here? It's going to be like, okay, what do we do here? He'll be the kind of guy that does that. And they're going to have to learn to be able to counter that. Now he might meet with them backstage and be like, okay, I'm going to confront you. We're going to confront each other and all that. I'm going to say this, and I could suggest you say that. Kind of make it. Basically, they could go back and forth and say, look, this is how we can work it out. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, obviously, just like with AEW, there's going to be talent, obviously, that are not happy that he's, in the company. Obviously, again, we saw that with Seth and Rhea's reaction, and apparently some reaction, not a lot, some reaction by talent was, not good. Drew, again, another one, out there when he came out, not happy. Yeah, it's going to be, so yeah, I think it's going to take more time. I think unlike Tony Khan, as I mentioned, Triple H is going to be able to, I think what Triple H is going to do is he's going to have a talent meeting. He's going to say, look, guys, I know you don't like, some of you are not happy that Phil's back and everything, but he has made amends. And he's probably going to have Phil there, and Phil's going to probably publicly apologize to them and say, look, I said a lot of things and did a lot of things, said a lot of things about this company, said a lot of things about you guys, about some of you guys that, I regret and everything, because I know some of you took it the wrong way, and I apologize. And I'm willing to do business with you guys going forward and do business the right way. So I got a feeling that's probably what's going to happen at Raw on Monday. He's going to have a talent meeting with them. He's going to probably have Phil there, and Phil, and Triple H will probably apologize for not letting everybody in on it. And then he's going to have, Phil come in and probably apologize for what he's done in the past, and hopefully make amends with a lot of people. Because again, the reaction is a majority of talent is happy he's here, because things are going to get interesting now. Well, on the other end, some are not. But hopefully, and I believe they will, cooler heads will prevail, and I think that starts this Monday in a talent meeting before Raw. I really do. But yeah, he's back. He is back and everything. He is back, and what's funny is you have a lot of the well-known content creators like Solomonster and JD, basically stating that, hey, if he shows up, I'm going to do this. If he shows up, I'm going to eat this. Well, the men of their words, because Solomonster came on the show last night, came on his live stream last night, had a bowl in his hand with a spoon, and he says, oh, And he said, oh hi there. You caught me at the wrong time. I was eating crow. Well, I was eating my bowl of crow because he basically said when he was I think doing the predictions or something, or he said something. I don't know if it was on a Raw review or SmackDown review, or during his predictions he did this past week. He said that if CM Punk shows up, he will eat crow. And even though he didn't legitimately eat crow, visually, he made it look like he did. And then JD basically says, hey, if Punk shows up, I will do my off-the-script review of Survivor Series Wargames tonight without my Atlanta Braves hat. And guess what? He's a man of his word. He did not wear a hat for the first time in a long time doing a review. Because basically he had to eat crow. And to me, again, this is just an example, as I mentioned earlier, this is just an example of Triple H knowing how to do things better than Tony Khan when it comes to basically keeping people guessing. That's the thing. And congratulations on him on that. But you know what this also does? This also opens the door for certain talent that you wouldn't think would come back to come back. I mean, let's not forget, Phil Brooks was in support of Mercedes and Trinity walking out of WWE over a year ago because of what's happened. But guess what? He's back now. He is back. And to me, that's a sign. That's a sign that Mercedes is coming back, and when her contract with Impact's up, Trinity's coming back. And you know that if they can... Now look, first of all, I understand they might want to watch and see how things play out, and everything. You might want to hear what other people are saying. But I guarantee you, what Trinity probably heard during that meetup at that convention with her former colleagues, and maybe passed on to Mercedes, I guarantee you that coupled with this, with Punk returning at Survivor Series last night, I guarantee you, that's going to convince them even more to come home, or come back to WWE. Well, home to them, because that's mostly what they've been known for most of their career. But yeah, it's going to convince them more to come back. It is. And right now, with Bayley and the damage control situation there, it lines up perfectly for Sasha and Trinity to show up over on SmackDown. It does. It lines up perfectly for them to show back up there to have her back. It does. Because again, if Phil Brooks, who's had a lot to say controversially and critically about WWE in the past, if not negatively, can make amends over what he's done, work something out, and come back, I think, again, that opens the door for them. I think it opens the door for Mercedes and Trinity to make their return. And I said it best. In that one video. I said that Will Ospreay signing with AEW, basically opens the door for Mercedes and Trinity to go back to WWE. Because, again, if you think Triple H is going to let Tony Khan get one over on him because he too wanted Will Ospreay, then you're wrong. He's not only going to up him in a huge way, but he's going to do it in a way that basically makes Tony Khan, in many people's minds, realize that, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be running this company. Maybe I should have somebody that knows what they're doing running this company. You can't tell me that that's not what Triple H is envisioning when he does these kind of things. You can't tell me that's not what he thinks the fans and the insiders are envisioning, because it is. It is that. Triple H is like, okay, you want to sign Will Ospreay away from me? You want to promise him all these things? That's fine. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do you one better, if not 3 times better. And Phil, I think, CM Punk is the first of that game of chess where, Triple H will be checkmating Tony Khan. Because as I've said it before in another video, when it was Tony Khan versus Vince McMahon, Tony Khan was always able to be like one step ahead. Like, oh, Vince did this? Oh, I'm going to go here. Oh, Vince did that? Oh, that's no problem. I'm going to go here. But with Triple H, it's more like, okay, he did it. Okay, Hunter did this. Let me see. Oh, I don't know what to move. Because if I go here, I get, it's a lot more confusing for him. It's a lot more confusing. So, to me, this is just the first. This is just the first. This is just the first, basically, Triple H one-upping Tony Khan, or triple-upping Tony Khan in a big way. Because, again, CM Punk was in support of Mercedes and Trinity, and them seeing this, they're going to be like, hey, I guess things are better now. We can go back. And I got a feeling that's what's going to happen. I got a feeling that Trinity's contract, if it's only for a year or whatever it is, if it's up, come hard to kill, only certain people know if it is or not. I've got a feeling after that she's coming back. And I got a feeling Mercedes is coming back. And the timing couldn't be better. Women's Royal Rumble. They're going to come back. They are. And maybe sooner than that. Because you can't tell me, again, Bayley right now is in a situation with damage control to where she's going to get kicked out. She's going to need allies. And what better allies to have than those that were on SmackDown before, they walked out. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens. But I've got a feeling this is going to lead to them coming back. Because getting CM Punk back, that to me is a major sign. That's a major message being sent to everyone that was part of WWE, that got let go by WWE, or that left WWE because of who they were working for. That's a major sign of saying, yeah, the tides have changed, things have changed the tides have changed, the tides have changed, and things have changed for the better. And I've got a feeling we're going to see a lot more returns that we didn't think were going to happen. We're going to see a lot more signings with WWE that we didn't think were going to happen. Guaranteed. I mean, you can't tell me when their contracts are up in AEW in the near future, like a Keith Lee, because you can visibly see it on his face. They did an interview with him tonight on Collision. You can see it on his face that that's not just an in-character thing. That's a legitimate that's not just an in-character frustration. That's a legitimate frustration. Keith Lee's going to be one of the next year, or in the next year or so, that's going to come back to WWE. You can't tell me that's not going to happen, because it is. You can't tell me it's not going to happen, because it is. So yeah, here's the thing. CM Punk being back, again, is a huge message being sent that, hey, things have changed. Things have changed, atmospherically, backstage, creatively, and booking-wise. And I've got a feeling this is going to lead to Mercedes. I got a feeling it's going to lead to Trinity coming back more so than ever. I mean, yeah, Tony Khan's going to be like, well, I got to get Mercedes now. He's going to try his best to throw things at her. It's not going to work. I mean, it might work. I'm not going to say that, but he's going to try everything in his power. But, she's going to be like, yeah, I think I'll go back here because I know people here, and right now you still have a lot to work out. So I've got a feeling she's going back. She's going back, and so is Trinity. So is Naomi, in my opinion. And again, there's going to be a lot of other talents that might want to jump over too. Everybody says that MJF, has quietly signed, re-signed extensionally with AEW. That's what WWE officials within the company are saying. But after what we've found out tonight, can we really believe that? Can we really believe that? Or is that something Triple H is telling them? Just saying. So I would take the whole, people heard he's quietly signed with AEW, or re-signed with AEW. I would take that MJF quietly re-signing with the company. I take that with a grain of salt after tonight. Because again, that's another message being sent by Triple H. Hey, don't believe the dirt sheets. Oh, don't believe everything the dirt sheets say, because they could be wrong. If not, will be wrong. So yeah, CM Punk being back in WWE is nothing but, it could be, will be, it might be, it's going to be awkward at first, no doubt, but in the end, it's nothing but good. It's nothing but good for the company. It really is. Because you got good matchups, good storylines that are going to come out of it, and it's going to lead to a lot of people that were doubtful about coming back to WWE to be like, hey, I'm going to go back. Now that I see that Phil Brooks has gone back, I'm going to go back. And that's what's going to happen. It's going to be a domino effect. It is. And, there's going to be a lot of talents whose contract with AEW is going to expire next year that Tony Khan's going to try to resign. They're going to be like, yeah, I'd rather go to WWE I'd rather go back to WWE because I can see things are better now. And they will. And you know what? Tony Khan's got in his thing. I'm not trying to say this to knock on Tony Khan. I know he's doing his best. But he's got no one but himself to blame because he doesn't have the right teams in charge in the right areas. He's trying to do everything himself. And again, I've said this numerous times. It just proves how much more of a fan he is than a businessman. If he would just be like, look, I'm a fan, but I'm going to put business first. I'm going to be a leader. Things would be different. But he's not doing that. He's not doing that. And instead, he's allowing that fan side of him to take over. He's allowing that fan side of him to take over. So, to me, the domino effect that this is going to have, he's going to have no one but himself to blame. He is. He's going to have no one but himself to blame for the talent that will not want to re-sign next year when their contracts expire, or in the following year, or whatever the case may be. He's got no one but himself to blame. He's got no one but himself to blame. And look, the whole situation at All In and even the media scrum, media brawl a year before that. Look, is that the fault of CM Punk? Yeah, Punk did have some issues with that. There's no doubt. Him lounging at Tony Khan, that's an issue. But you have to understand CM Punk's situation. He got frustrated because he thought, okay, I'm going to work for this company that's a true alternative to WWE. It's going to let me be myself. It's going to focus on what I love to do. And instead he finds out that what he's working for, as he said in the media scrum, is just for a bunch of children. What he's working for is just a fan of the business, a mark for the business that wants to prove that, hey, we fans, we marks, could do a better job than those that have been in the business for too long, for their entire careers. So yeah, does he have blame to take for the way he reacted, let his anger get the best of him, his frustration get the best of him? Yeah. But again, what he said basically has come true. It's true. He was working for nothing but adolescent children in mind, mentality-wise. And the boss he was working for was mainly a fan. And he just, at All In, just let his frustrations get the best of him. He's just like, hey, I'm supposed to be the leader here. I'm supposed to be the veteran of this, one of the leaders of this, this company, of this locker room, and yet nobody wants to listen to me, and you're not doing nothing about it, and you're acting like nothing but a mark. I mean, the reports of the fact that, I guess when CM Punk returned after a 7 month hiatus because of his injury, what did Tony Khan? What was the report that came out that Tony Khan was doing in Gorilla? Tony Khan was going, CM Punk. You don't do that. Are you going to hear reports of Triple H doing that? No. And again, I think that going on, along with everything else, pretty much, I guess you could say, that, and along with everything else, pretty much, what's the word I'm looking for? Vindicated. Yeah, that's the point I'm looking for. Vindicated everything CM Punk said. Yeah. Again, did he have fault for what happened? Absolutely. He did have fault. But obviously now, the more you look at it, the more you're realizing he was probably right. Probably 90%, probably 85 to 90% of the time he was right. 85%, basically 85 to 90% of the time he was right. What he was saying was true. And again, Tony Khan has no one but himself to blame. And you can't tell me that David Zaslav isn't watching this and thinking and looking at this and probably getting on the phone with Tony Khan and saying, you SOB. You cost us one of the reasons we gave you Collision. This is going to hurt AEW in the long run. And yeah, from a business strategy, that might be what Triple H wants. At least to teach him a lesson of, hey, Tony, you want to run your company? You want this company to be an alternative to WWE? Fine. But get somebody else that knows what they're doing and just stay away. Because that's what's going to happen. Oh, that's what's happening, I should say. Not going to happen, but that's what's happening right now. That's what's happening. And again, Tony Khan's got no one but himself to blame. Blame for this. He's got no one but himself to blame for this because he didn't act like a leader. If he would have acted more like a leader, brought his talent aside and say, look, I know some of you don't like him. No, some of you don't want to listen to the advice he gives. Fine. But please keep your egos in check. And just do your job. He didn't do that. Instead, he's going to be known as the guy that when Punk came back from his injury, and Gorilla going, CM Punk, CM Punk, CM Punk. It's like, it just, it did not, it did not make him look good. It did not. And again, it vindicates everything Punk said. It vindicates everything he said at the media scrum. It vindicates everything he said in shoot interviews. It vindicates everything. About his time in AEW, about the reports and everything. And again, like I said, he does have fault to blame. He let his anger, his frustrations get the best of him. Him lounging at Tony Khan was not a good thing. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. All that lounging, I think, was just basically the straw that broke the camel's back. It broke the straw that broke the camel's back because of the fact that Tony Khan was allowing this stuff to happen, even though CM Punk may have requested, hey, please don't let this happen. Please don't let this occur, if you will. Or please talk to these people. He's got no one, you can't honestly blame Punk for letting his frustrations, letting that be the straw that broke the camel's back, and letting his frustrations get the best of him and lounging at Tony. You can't blame you can't blame him for letting that happen, because he probably talked to him and asked him to talk to his talent and tell him not to do this kind of stuff, or say anything. But Tony didn't do it, and if he did, he didn't do it in a serious manner. So so as much as Punk takes the blame for doing something like that, getting into the altercation with Jack Perry at all behind the scenes at All In, doing what he did at the media scrum a year before, you can't blame him. You cannot physically, not physically, but you cannot legitimately blame Punk, because he does take part of the blame, but now that I look at it, he takes about 10 to 15% of the blame, or 15 to 10. He takes basically 15% to 10% of the blame, while Tony Khan and AEW takes 85% to 90% of it, because they didn't do things the right way. They didn't take things seriously. It's like the freaking Wild West over there, apparently. It's like the freaking Wild West. And what's going to happen is, like I said, Punk coming back, that's going to cause Tony Khan not to be able to get Mercedes or Trinity. It's going to cause him very soon to lose Bryan Danielson back to WWE. It's going to cause him to lose Samoa Joe. It's going to cause him to lose Keith Lee, when the contract's up and everything. This is going to be a domino effect that is going to negatively affect AEW, but positively affect WWE. Because the difference between Levesque and Khan, is Levesque knows how to talk to people and calm situations down. Khan does not, and that's his down point. That is his down point. So overall though, in closing, CM Punk being back is going to be nothing but a good thing, and I think it's going to be a lot better. And you got. Basically, he's back where he feels he's going to be utilized better in a more professional manner, and that whatever, he wants to say, or whatever altercations are going to happen are not going to happen the way they did in AEW, because Triple H and his team's not going to let it happen, and they're going to talk things out before anything does happen. And I got a feeling that's all going to begin this Monday in a talent meeting before Raw. I just have that feeling. And I think during that talent meeting, like I said earlier, Punk's going to be there and he's going to apologize. He's going to apologize for things he's said and done, and he's just going to say, and he's probably just going to ask for, and he's probably going to say, look, if you don't want to accept my apology, that's great, but, we are all business people at the end of the day, so, maybe we could take whatever animosity we have for each other and, do business. And that could work. I mean, look at Charlotte and Becky. They have a little bit of animosity still, but they've been able to work things out to where they're kind of friends again, but not really, but they're kind of getting there. So, yeah, I think this is going to be nothing but a good thing for WWE in the long run. And Tony Khan and AEW have no one else but themselves to blame for not, reining things in over at that company. And I guarantee you, David Zaslav's not going to be happy either. He's not, and that's not going to be good for AEW in the long run. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. What are your thoughts on CM Punk being back in WWE? How do you feel about it? And until then,